welcome everyone to the Metabolism Makeover Workshop. I'm so happy you're here. As I mentioned to the guests as they were coming in, we're going to cover a lot of territory tonight. Don't feel like you have to remember all of this. My mission, my goal in all of this is to give you a broad brushstroke of how this all comes together so that you understand it. The more we understand, then the deeper we can go in what we're trying to accomplish with our health. So don't feel like you have to remember it all. Don't go crazy trying to write it all down. You will get the recording afterwards. So, and for those of you that don't have workbooks yet, please let me know and I'll send those off to you as well. So let's get started. So my name is Debbie Miller and I'm a certified integrative nutrition health coach and holistic health practitioner through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York. I also hold a certification in functional nutrition for digestive health through the Functional Nutrition Alliance. I suffered needlessly for decades with this metabolic dysfunction that we're going to be talking about tonight. When I finally took a step back and took a serious look at everything that was going on and all these interwoven, intricate connections, my life changed forever. And I'm going to share a little bit about my journey tonight and how it might apply to you. There we go. Okay, so here's my before and after. So as you can tell, I was very unwell. This is when my son was going to be graduating from college, and I was so sick. I didn't even know if I was going to make it to the graduation. At this point in my life, I literally was living on the sofa, couldn't put two thoughts together, so I didn't dare drive. It was quite a time and I was miserable physically. I had so much inflammation going on that I basically felt like I had a horrible case of the flu all the time with all the aches and the joint pains and everything. It was pretty miserable. So it took me a very long time to get to where I am today. I spent a lifetime in this misery with chronic health issues that the medical community wasn't able to really address. So when I did, like I said, when I finally took a step back and looked at all these connections, I was able to make the changes that really changed my life. So today we're going to look at these critical pieces that I added, and I'm on a mission to make sure that no one suffers like I did. Back years ago when I left my doctor's office, one of my doctor's offices, for the last time, he asked if I was depressed. Well, of course I was depressed. I had no life and I was living on the sofa, right? So the sad thing is I left and I didn't go back to that doctor, but his assistant, lovely lady, was suffering with the same thing that I was dealing with. And if he had been able to take the information that I shared with him after I had gotten better and helped her, it could have really changed her life. And unfortunately, he dismissed it. He just basically looked down at his clipboard and didn't even comment. So, but there are solutions for these kinds of things, but the key is to get to the root of what's really going on. So we're going to talk a little bit about these connections with respect to metabolism, including the gut, the microbiome, the liver, gallbladder, and the immune system, and how all of these things come together to impact our health, including our weight. So are you surprised? I promise you're going to see light bulbs going on every place. Let's get down to the business of building health. So have you ever struggled to lose weight or lost weight only to gain it back in a matter of 3 to 6 months? So frustrating, right? So I'm here to help you break that pattern. So if this is you, this is my good, not so good slide. I had a little fun with this. We have to have fun with all the miserable things. So if you've been frustrated and ready to give up, maybe you're experiencing weight gain and weight loss resistance, down for the count with low energy, that's miserable. I get it. No fun. That was my way of life for decades. My hormones were a hot mess. Yours are, I understand totally. I had the digestive trifecta, the gas, bloating, constipation, all of that and much more. Of course, that's very embarrassing, as maybe you've experienced. And with all the gas and bloating, it just kind of magnifies the look of that weight gain 10x, right? And of course, with me, in my situation, not everyone experiences this, but with the condition that I had unbelievable sugar cravings. It wasn't a matter of whether or not I was going to have that one cookie. It was whether or not I was going to eat the whole bag. It was that bad. When I was little, my family called me the cookie monster, literally. So I'd like to say, stop the madness, because we can. So just a little disclaimer here. I want you to understand that this information that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight is for educational and informational purposes only, and solely to help you with a self-help tool for your own use. Oops. I am not providing medical, psychological, or nutrition therapy advice, and you should not use this information to diagnose or treat any health problems or illnesses without consulting first with your own medical practitioner. Always seek their advice first, whether or not it's medical or mental, about your specific health situation. They know what's going on with you, so before you add any pieces, make sure you're checking with them. So just a quick bit to put this whole thing about metabolism into perspective. Even though we're going to be talking about primarily weight tonight, know that metabolism affects many areas of health. So let's take a step back just for a second to help put things in perspective. So what controls your metabolism? We're going to keep it simple. We can really dive down a rabbit hole with all of this, but we're going to keep it simple. Basically, three things: the endocrine system, and the hormone systems, the adrenals, which sit on the top of your kidneys. They regulate the stress response. They release the hormones. Here's a hormonal system: cortisol, adrenaline, or epinephrine, sometimes it's called. And they regulate the release of sugar or glucose from your muscles to your liver to either stimulate your metabolism or to slow it down. And then, of course, we've got the pancreas, which, again, hormones, glucose and insulin. The pancreas controls your basal metabolic rate, which is basically the rate at which you burn calories when you're resting or sleeping. So we're going to try and put all of these pieces together in a way that makes sense for you. So whether you've been frustrated with weight loss resistance, lost weight only to have it come back, or you've tried to reach a goal more times than you can count, which was certainly my case, taking your metabolism into consideration is critical for long-term success. And of course, we know that's what we're all about, right? We want that long-term success. So before we begin, I want you to understand that there really are solutions. So I have some ladies that will be listening to this recording that are going to be over the age of 50, and I kind of wanted to address this for them. So after 50, certain changes can take place that can derail that metabolism. So first, probably and most important, is the digestive health. Our bile production may not be what it should be, especially if we don't have our gallbladder any longer. And our stomach acid production slows down. Did you know that GERD, acid reflux, can actually result from too little stomach acid? It's true. Not everybody has that situation, but it can sometimes be too little. And in addition, our lower esophageal sphincter can become weak and no longer closes tightly to keep that acid from coming up into the esophagus. And that's where we could get the heartburn going on. And of course, blood sugar levels can creep up, especially that fasting state of blood sugar levels. So we really, after age 50, well, before too, but after age 50 especially, we want to be vigilant about how we're putting our diet together and how we're addressing the blood sugar. So after 50, oops, what happened here? Okay, so how does your metabolism affect your body? So it's going to help regulate blood sugar levels. It's going to produce energy that your body needs for primarily every function. It can decrease weight gain, and it assists organs in cleaning out toxins. And that's a really critical piece, and we'll talk more about that later. So the benefits of a balanced metabolism are pretty much the opposite. You're going to experience hopefully some weight gain. better weight management, so you're going to be able to make sure you're keeping that under control, decreased cravings, balanced energy levels, and balanced blood sugar levels. So symptoms of a poor metabolism, if you're experiencing one, you may experience these things: pale skin tone, brittle nails, fatigue, especially fatigue, low libido, cellulite on the fronts of your thighs, gut issues, sugar cravings, hair loss. Of course, we know that comes along with the thyroid. The thyroid's a key piece in all of this. And of course, weight loss, gain, or imbalance. So metabolism disruptors, we're going to be talking more about these throughout actually this presentation, but we know sugar, stress. I can't even tell you, if you are stressed to the max, nothing else is going to fall into place until you get that stress under control. I literally just finished a 7-month stress course because people were having so many issues. I have a new clicker, sorry. We want to make sure that we're getting that under control. And if you need some help with that, we'll be repeating that course, although I'm going to only do 3 months, I think, probably this fall. But I do have some resources I can pass along in the meantime. Alcohol, of course, we know that. Lack of sleep, huge. That's when we repair and restore. Dieting deprivation. A lot of people go on these crash diets and they end up with literally malnutrition. They don't even have the nutrients they need to get the body going. Processed foods and consuming foods that just aren't healthy for you. And that could be just the fact that they're not healthy foods in general, or it could be that you've got a whole bunch of food sensitivities and intolerances going on. And we'll talk more about this, but for now, we need to make sure that we're not causing more damage, and we want to make sure that we're taking those foods out of our diet for a period of time. Obviously, if you're having a lot of them, we want to make sure that we're kind of working with that a bit. We don't take everything out all at once. That's something that we can address. So sugar and metabolic issues disrupts natural energy levels, spikes your blood sugar, increases your cravings, creates blood sugar imbalance, and you end up on this horrible energy roller coaster. One day you're up and the next day you're down, or it might be from hour to hour. So caffeine and metabolism, and caffeine in and of itself isn't great for us because it does spike the adrenaline and blood sugar. You get that crash and burn, and it tricks your body into thinking it needs more caffeine to maintain your allergy or your energy levels, right? But there are some benefits, and we're finding out more and more almost every day about the benefits of drinking coffee. The idea is that if you're drinking coffee, you want to make sure you're doing it in moderation. So alcohol, we know that affects our metabolism, slows it down, spikes blood sugar levels, impairs brain function, and it's a liver toxin. It does disrupt your digestive tract. And we know now, didn't know this way back when I was so sick, but our gut health, our digestive health is foundational for every single area of health. Other factors that might affect your metabolism would be lack of movement and exercise, foods that are processed, toxic, and contain artificial ingredients and sugar, skipping meals and you're getting into that deprivation mode again, genetics, toxic buildup. And here we might be talking about hormone or endocrine disrupting chemicals like xenoestrogens. These are estrogen mimickers, and they can actually be 1,000 times stronger than our natural estrogen that we have in our bodies. So which do you want taking up your receptor sites? Of course, we don't want the xenoestrogens. We want our own natural estrogens. And of course, heavy metals. So let's get going here. We're going to be discussing the top 12 metabolism boosters. If you've looked at your workbook, you know that this is what we're going to be doing. These things now are in your workbook, so you can jot them down if you're at that point and you would like to do that. So we're going to talk about the implementation strategies after each one of these as well. So first of all, let's describe what metabolism actually is. So this is from Harvard Health, and they describe it as metabolism, or metabolic rate, is defined as the series of chemical reactions in a living organism that create and break down energy necessary for life. More simply, it's the rate at which your body expends energy and burns calories. So it's obviously very important. We want it burning those calories, right? So here we go. All right, so the first one is going to be increase lean muscle. So lean muscle increases our ability to burn calories. And it burns 3 times as many calories as fat. So if you can get your lean muscle up there, your lean muscle mass, and get rid of that fat, then you're going to be further ahead here. Of course, like I just said, the higher the lean muscle, the higher your metabolism. So the strategies here, you're going to incorporate appropriate levels of the amino acid leucine. This comes in a protein product that I use for my clients. And this ensures that you maintain all of your lean muscle mass and lose only the unwanted fat. And that's important, remember, because the more lean muscle that we have, the more calories we burn. A lot of people go on these crash diets and they lose the lean muscle, and we'll talk about that in a second here. I've got a whole diagram on that. And they're shooting themselves in the foot. I have a wonderful suggestion on this if this is something that you're interested in looking into. It's a protein product. But check with your medical professional about any exercise programs that are going to be specifically helpful for you. The goal is to build that lean muscle mass. I would suggest working with a highly certified personal trainer, at least in the beginning stages, to make sure you're doing those exercises correctly and you don't injure yourself. Some of the ladies that will be viewing this, I'm not sure if anyone's on, but we use Wendy Stoll in our area here, and she's amazing. But you want to make sure that they really know what they're doing and they can design a program that fits you. You want to keep your calorie levels balanced with the amount of exercise that you're getting in. And I don't mean, we don't want to get into this whole calories in, calories out, because we know that a calorie isn't a calorie, right? A calorie of sugar isn't the same as a calorie of a vegetable. So, but we want to make sure that we're keeping, if you're losing weight too quickly, then you've probably dropped your calories too far. But that's something that we can work with you on. Wendy or another personal trainer could also do that. Just a quick aside here on the whole leucine thing. There was a study done at Quincy College by Wayne Westcott. It was a very powerful study, and it showed that the participants that were using this particular protein lost all of their weight loss came from fat and not lean muscle. Booster 2 would be power up with protein. We just talked about the leucine, but we're going to talk about proteins in general now. It increases satiety and keeps you feeling full longer. That's cool, right? We don't want to go around feeling hungry all the time. It helps increase your metabolic rate, increases your lean muscle mass. Protein needs after age 50, for you ladies that are over 50, our needs increase. So sometimes you think maybe they would decrease, but they actually go up. High protein, high leucine diets offer improvement in insulin sensitivity. Dr. Steve Cheney has a great book out called Slaying the Food Myths, and the last I knew it was still available on Amazon. But insulin sensitivity is a really big deal. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but this is your blood sugar again. So if your goal is weight loss, consider having 2 of these life shakes per day, 1 for breakfast and 1 for lunch or dinner. If your goal is maintenance and long-term health for maximum lean muscle mass, 1 shake would be great. We want to make sure we're avoiding that sarcopenia, because as we age, we lose that, we lose muscle automatically. So if we can keep our exercise levels consistent and get in the good proteins with the leucine, you're going to be doing great. You want to fill in mid-morning or mid-afternoon with healthy protein snacks. You could consider the 180 snack bars, 10 grams of healthy protein. Make sure you're getting enough protein with each meal. You shouldn't just sit down and have a bowl of lettuce. You need that protein. So if you're a vegan, vegetarian, or just trying to avoid animal protein, complete sources of plant protein would be soy, which would be like the shakes, although they're available in other plant protein as well. tofu, tempeh, edamame, but skip the processed soy burgers. All of those soy foods, call them, that you can pick up in the refrigerator case. Many of them, most of them probably, are very, very processed and not necessarily great for you. Other complete proteins would be buckwheat and quinoa. And when I say complete proteins, that means you're getting all of the amino acids that you need, the essential ones that our bodies don't produce. Another strategy could be maybe to combine some nut butter. Just watch out for those unhealthy fats they add. Get a good organic one. And then maybe some organic cheese, if you can do dairy, with a small apple or banana. But make sure you're getting your healthy fats. Sometimes we've gone back and forth, and I just did a presentation for a group here a while back on this. But, first it was fats that were bad. Of course, now we know it really wasn't the fat, it was the sugars. Because the sugar industry was bashing the fat industry. Anyway, we won't go into all of that, but we want to make sure we're getting those healthy fats. They do fire up your metabolism, and we're talking about maybe alpha linoleic acid, gamma linoleic acid, your omega-3s and 6s, and you want to get those in a good ratio of 3:1, heavier on the omega-6s than the 3s. And we always push the omega-3s because people are getting so many omega-6s in all the snack foods and things that you eat. So, but if you're looking for an oil, and you may not know this is pretty new science, one of the oils that is super great because it does have that ratio automatically right in the structure is organic hemp seed oil. So I've started using that. So in Metabolism Booster 3, we want to ensure plenty of fuel. So starvation mode triggers your body to hold on to fat, and your body's number one goal is to keep you alive, right? If it senses that you're depriving yourself too drastically, you're in a heap of trouble because it's going to hold on to that fat like nobody's business. Reducing calories too far ensures that your body will have plenty of fat to survive on that rainy day and days. So ensure plenty of fuel, which means healthy foods to avoid fat storage. So this is the diagram that I was talking about a little bit ago, the vicious diet cycle. So this cycle that you can get into, it's self-defeating, and I'll show you why. So basically on the right, you lose weight from lean muscle and maybe some fat, but your body goes into starvation mode because you've cut your calories too low and probably not getting enough protein. So you increase the fat storage. So as we follow along here, you get frustrated, you fall off the diet. And at that point, you've reduced your metabolic rate because you don't have that lean muscle any longer, and you regain all of your weight as fat. And as you're going into that cycle, after you've come off depriving yourself, of course, you go into that feast response. So basically what ends up happening is you just continue to repeat this cycle over and over and over again. And each time you can end up heavier than the last. It's really a cruel thing. So I really encourage you to make sure that you're watching out for this. Make sure you're getting the right calorie level and getting your proteins so that you can avoid this cycle. So strategies here would be determine a healthy calorie intake and learn what that looks like for you. This is something that a dietitian could help you with, a personal trainer could help you with, and I look at that as well, but adopt a gratitude mindset. Slow down. We move so fast. We think we have to be busy all the time, and we wear it like a badge of honor, right? And of course, we talked about reduce stress. Stress alone can cause a whole cascade of problems that lead to weight gain and more. And we want to learn how to eat intuitively, intentionally. So instead of just sitting down and loading up your plate with food, figure out what really makes you healthy. Be intentional about what you're eating and how much you're eating. You may have heard about the blue zones. I've looked into this a lot. I studied in school, but the people in the blue zones eat until they're only 80% full. So you have to kind of be intentional about that, or you just eat until you're miserable and you think, oh, I better stop, right? So, but the blue zones are the people that live the longest. They have the highest numbers in these areas around the world of centenarians. So there's something to all of these things. It's a whole process that they use, and I'm not going to go into it all today, but it's important. So if you want to explore this a little further, Emily Rosen with the Institute for Psychology of Eating has a wonderful video on the metabolic power of awareness. And these links that I'm providing at the bottom of these slides, I can provide these to you at the end. So don't worry about jotting them down. So booster number 4, even things out with green matcha. So I call it liquid oomph because it does do exactly that. This is an energizing tea. It has minimal caffeine, just amount of a very small cup of coffee, but it also has taurine, which is an amino acid again, and it gives you that effect. It's just wonderful. Hard to describe without experiencing it, but it comes in 4 wonderful flavors: regular, elderberry, pomegranate, and peach. Actually, peach isn't available just yet. It's coming back. It's sold out, but it will be back. And of course, strategies here. Drink 1 or 2 cups a day, and give breathing exercises a try. As long as we're talking about the effect, I'll be sharing this link with you at the end. It's Dr. Weil's breathing exercises. He was one of my instructors in school as well, but it's a very easy exercise and it just brings you down out of that stress mode. So, and of course we want to get our sleep, right? So this is number 5. Lack of sleep or poor quality sleep kills your metabolism. It disrupts your blood sugar regulation and increases cravings. And of course, it's going to result in weight gain. Have you ever gotten up after a really horrible night's sleep? Maybe you've only gotten 2 hours of sleep or whatever, and you're just ravenous. This is what happens. It's very important for many reasons to get our sleep. But if you're having trouble in this area, reach out, because I do have some resources that I can share here. So strategies, the list of helpful tips are miles long, but these suggestions aren't, if they aren't effective, reach out. Again, the stress, we want to make sure we're getting rid of that. Live life with a natural rhythm of the days and seasons. And this is something that we've kind of forgotten. Farmers got it right years ago, but we want to wake up with the sun and go to bed at dark, right? Well, that's not always possible, nor is it feasible in today's times, but there are things that we can do. First of all, we want to make sure we're getting early morning, as soon as you hop out of bed, really, sun exposure. That sets your circadian rhythm. So if you're really having a tough time, every morning when you get up, maybe you can go out your back door so the neighbors won't notice you in your jammies, but whatever it takes, 10 to 15 minutes without sunscreen if you can. You know, if you have skin trouble, that's probably not a great idea, but you don't really get that sun exposure if you've got sunscreen on. So if you can do it safely, 10 to 15 minutes would be great. Number 3, we want to establish a nightly bedtime routine and include writing in a gratitude journal. I can't even tell you how powerful this is. The routine in and of itself just signals to your body that you're getting ready for bed, you're winding down, and you're easing yourself into sleep mode. It's very powerful, but the gratitude journal thing, powerful. You don't need anything fancy, even just a couple pieces of paper that you keep by your bed. Just pick it up and write down 3 things that you were grateful for the day. It could have been a beautiful flower. It could have been maybe a friend called you. Whatever it is, write it down. Another thing along with that, sometimes some of my clients find it helpful to get everything out of their head that they have to do for the next day. They get it down on paper and they don't have to worry about it any longer. So that's another little journaling thing that you could do. Electronics, we've all heard this, get rid of them at least 2 hours before bed. At the minimal, if you have to stay up and you're going to be using your electronics, go with the amber screen. Even your phones most of them now have an amber screen that you can actually schedule it so it goes on at a certain time during the day. You can also get special glasses so you don't have to worry about getting those bright blue lights that are going to keep you up all night. Try not to eat less than 3 hours before bed. If you feel you need a bit of a snack, just go for a little bit of protein. So number 6, hydrate. If you're here at the end, and actually I will email this to you if you can't stay, but it's an ebook I put together on infused waters. A lot of people aren't water drinkers, so that can be tough for some people. Myself, I drink water all day. I have to in Utah, and before that I was in Colorado at even higher altitudes. So we want to use a carbon filter or a reverse osmosis system. The Get Clean pitcher is wonderful because it does take out the lead and a lot more nasties than some of the pitchers on the market. Water can help you feel full and may also temporarily speed up your metabolism. There was a recent study that was done that showed that drinking 17 ounces of water increases your resting metabolism. Okay, we talked about that by 10 to 30% for an hour. So how powerful would that be? Just have a glass of water every hour. That's a pretty good boost. So water is also wonderful for flushing out toxins and assisting the kidneys in that process. So strategies: keep a pitcher on the counter. You've probably heard these, or in the fridge to help you keep track of how much water you're actually drinking. If you're not a water drinker, try and spruce it up a bit with these infused waters. Some of the things that I like would be fresh fruit, cucumber, ginger, mint, just to add flavor. And they actually have these special bottles. You may have seen them where they actually have a tube in the middle where you can put ice and you can put your fruit and whatever it is, maybe cucumber in there. But it helps keep your water apart, but still infuses it, and it keeps your water cold as well. They're wonderful. So many times dehydration is responsible for our perceived hunger. And you've probably heard this while you're on a weight loss program, maybe. Try drinking a glass of water and wait 15 minutes and see. You might just need some water. So upon waking every morning, drink a large glass of water, and bonus if you can add the juice of half of a lemon, and use a stainless steel straw. Try and keep as much of it away from your teeth as possible. And the infused waters, I'll be sending you that. So we're gonna, number 7, we're gonna make friends with our mitochondria. So what are they? What do they do with weight and metabolism? So mitochondria are those tiny little powerhouse cells that turn our food into energy. They're the foundation of any strong metabolism. You best make friends with them and keep them healthy and happy, and that's what we're going to talk about. When your mitochondria are not efficient in making cellular energy from the food that you eat, your metabolism slows down, and we don't want that to happen. So how do we keep them happy? This is a quote. Well, it's not really a quote. This is from Dr. David Sinclair. Some of you may know of him, Harvard professor. So he's very long-winded. I had to kind of paraphrase what he said, but this is the crux of what he said. Find a healthy exercise program designed especially for you. Exercise turns on longevity genes, which in turn leads to longer telomeres. Telomeres are the ends of our DNA that they're kind of like the caps at the end of your shoelaces, but they're protective against DNA damage. So we want to keep those healthy and long. The longer they are, the better. So it leads to longer telomeres, growth of new microvessels that deliver oxygen to the cells, boosting the activity of mitochondria, which burns oxygen to make chemical energy. So that's mitochondria. So some strategies here. We want to avoid environmental toxins, allergens, and those are allergens for you, and stress. Clean up your diet. Unhealthy foods are the biggest cause of damage to your mitochondria. Avoid processed foods, anti-nutrients like sugar and some of the chemicals that you find in these processed foods, and of course, overeating. We want to load up on antioxidants, especially resveratrol. There's a lot of science around this. The antioxidants, of course, are to deal with the free radicals that we experience. Okay, so this is kind of a long slide here, but this is a quote from a wonderful lady, Elizabeth, call her Liz Lipsky, PhD, CNS, FACN, IFMCP. Her book is Digestive Wellness. This lady, she teaches, she's actually a teacher at the Institute for Functional Medicine, and she teaches doctors. So she's a pretty smart gal. Mitochondrial DNA is extremely susceptible to environmental damage from nutritional deficiencies, infection, disrupted sleep, pregnancy, changes in pH balance in the cell, magnesium status, hormonal deficiencies, and stress. Mitochondrial function can be inhibited by magnesium insufficiency. Get your magnesium. Changes in cellular pH and abnormal products of metabolism. Mitochondria also require vitamins B1, 2, 3, and 6, lipoic acid, that's for your blood sugar, manganese, zinc, CoQ10, wonderful for your heart, wonderful for your energy, glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids. So this kind of is bringing all of this together here. So on to booster number 8. We want to optimize our nutrition for the mitochondria, and we don't want to forget about the healthy fats. All right, so we're going to talk about coenzyme Q10, which we just mentioned. These are going to be found in little strips down in the right-hand corner. N-acetylcysteine. N-acetylcysteine is a precursor to what is called glutathione, which is our master detoxifying agent in our body. So we want to make sure that we're providing what the glutathione needs to make it. So the N-acetylcysteine comes into your body, you bring it in, and your body does the work to make the glutathione. That's why we call it a precursor. Very important. Of course, there is resveratrol that we talked about. Magnesium. Magnesium is responsible for over 300 processes in the body. It's a really important nutrient. And the kicker here is we're going to be talking about gut health, but this is one of the minerals that's vital for our health. But when our gut's a mess, we're probably not breaking down these minerals so that we can actually absorb them. We always say we are what we eat. Well, we're not really. We're only what we can absorb. So break down and absorb. So digestion is key. Sorry, kind of got off on a tangent there. B-complex, incredibly important for many, many levels. And you always want to get B-complex in a complex because they work synergistically together, those B vitamins. Omega-3 fats, we got the Omega Guard, and we have a plant-based one now that is also wonderful with the omega-3s. And again, these are found in the life strips. Alpha lipoic acid is found in the glucose regulating complex. Again, that's to help balance your blood sugar. So strategies: create a personal plan for lifestyle and nutritional support for your mighty mitochondria, taking into account any of your digestive weaknesses and your food sensitivities. We want to avoid nutritional deficiencies. Again, you're going to see so many crossovers here. And the wonderful thing about this isn't that we're just worried about talking about duplicating, all of these things. But the wonderful thing is you improve that one thing and it can help so many different areas of your health. And that's true with so many things. Once you start getting into the nutritional things and you start building from the ground up, the sky's the limit as to what can help, what that nutrition can help. Especially important to get a healthful diet. So nutritional deficiencies, we want to ensure restful sleep. Again, another crossover. Get your hormones in line, all of them, including your stress hormones and your hunger and satiety hormones. Yes, you have hormones for those. Clean up your environment, home, office, car, cleaning products, and food. Be intentional with what you allow into your spaces. And I really mean that. Know what's in your carpet, know what's in your furniture, know what's in your food. And if there's bad stuff there, don't bring it to your home or don't bring it to your body. And we talk about eating our vitamins. Truly, as we eat our food, we're actually eating our vitamins. I want you to understand food isn't just food that we take in and yet maybe does its stuff, but food is information. It actually tells our genes how to behave. So that's very, very important. So we want to, number 9, reduce blood sugar spikes. We've talked about it in reference here all the way through. It lowers risk of insulin resistance, which causes chronic inflammation. We have an epidemic of chronic inflammation in this country and across the world, really. And we want to make sure that we're addressing the insulin resistance piece, because that's where the bulk of the inflammation is coming from. And where does that come from? The gut, primarily the gut. So we'll talk more about that. So quickly, the insulin resistance, I don't know if you've heard this, but many in the medical field are saying that there's such a strong correlation to blood sugar regulation and Alzheimer's that they're actually calling it type 3 diabetes. So it's that important. Eating sugar, processed and inflammatory foods overloads the mitochondria, damages energy production, and slows metabolism. So here's some strategies. You want to balance your macronutrients. Okay, that would be your proteins, fats, and your carbohydrates. And consider a low glycemic index or a low glycemic load diet. If you need some charts to kind of help you along with these, I'm happy to provide those. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to keep your blood sugar completely level so that it doesn't spike up and down. And you do that by eating these low glycemic foods, which means that there's not an abundance of sugar there, glucose. And you're looking at, in the glycemic load, you're looking at the serving size. And that's where the difference kind of comes in. Very important. Consider incorporating a glucose regulation supplement of some kind with alpha lipoic acid, as we discussed earlier. Protein and fiber with every meal. Increase fiber gradually from 25 to 35 grams a day if you're not there already. And I really emphasize gradually. But they slow down the insulin response. They keep you fuller longer. And the fiber is wonderful because it binds to hormones and takes spent hormones out of the body. So if you're in an estrogen dominant type situation, getting some extra fiber could really help. So consider adding 1 to 2 smoothies per day, being careful not to add a whole lot of fruit. And of course, we want to make sure that we're getting our sleep. Number 10, all right, this is a biggie. I kind of threw everything but the kitchen sink in this one. Love your liver in the 14-day age-defying cleanse. I'm going to talk about at the end. Repair your gut, support your liver, restore gallbladder. And these are kind of all linked together. So that's why I kind of threw them in. Much of your metabolism depends on the health of your liver. Very important. A healthy liver will assist in properly metabolizing sugars and fats, get rid of toxins from your body, not necessarily ones from the environment, but your body also produces undesirables that we need to get rid of, as well as environmental toxins you take in. Love your liver, okay? A sluggish liver equals a sluggish gallbladder, which equals a sluggish digestive system, an unhappy gut, nutrient deficiencies, fat malabsorption, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see how just starting with one piece, that sluggish liver, can be a whole cascade of things, and it just goes downhill from there. That's how these things are so intricately interwoven. So this is Dr. Alan Christensen. What happens when your liver is unhealthy? You tend to store fuel as fat, especially around your midsection, that tire, and you can no longer tap into nutrients you need to burn fat. This means that no matter which diet you choose and how hard you try, weight loss is pretty much impossible. Sound familiar to anybody? I know it was for me. Okay, so some strategies around this. Reduce your toxic burden in everyday life to improve the performance of your liver. And again, like I said, just be intentional. Consider the cleanse. We're going to talk about it at the end, but basically it's a jumpstart to weight loss and a reduction in cravings, improves focus and energy, enhances mood and sleep quality, supports detoxification and healthy digestion. It's a wonderful program. Address gut health. Gut health is foundational for every area of health, like I mentioned before. Rethink your fats, improve your bile flow from the liver, and ensure healthy amounts of stomach acid. Eat foods to support the gallbladder. That's a lot to unpack right there, and I can't go into all of the details tonight. But if you're having digestive problems, these areas are what you need to look at and see if there's something going on. And there's ways that we can do that. We want to optimize our digestion of proteins, minerals, and B12. So if we don't have that stomach acid that can give these things a nice, good acid wash to help break them down, we're not going to be able to absorb them because they aren't broken down. So these are really critical things. If you're not getting your protein, your minerals, B12 is critically important. And by the way, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you could be low. So watch for that one. Eat foods to optimize metabolism, digestion, gallbladder, bile, fat breakdown, and better absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. There's been a big push for people to take vitamin D, right? It's important for immune and so many wonderful things. It's actually a pre-hormone. But you want to make sure that you're taking it with some fat. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. So you need some fat to absorb it. So if you're not getting your vitamin D levels up, that could be why. So we want to improve the gut by taming the inflammation and immune, thereby taming elevated insulin and that spare tire around the middle. So important there. Metabolism booster number 11, clean up your environment. So our personal toxic burden overwhelms the liver, causing it to become sluggish. The bile can be congested, and we end up with gallbladder problems and the whole works. So this is a quote from Sloan Barnett. Some of you have heard of Sloan. Her book is Green Goes With Everything. It's an oldie but goodie. She says most Americans, but especially children, she speaks a lot on children because her children were in a bad situation and they didn't find out until much later. After they had been sick. But anyway, especially children have dozens of pesticide and other toxic compounds in their bodies, many of them linked to health threats. A source of many of these toxins, what are they? Common, everyday, run-of-the-mill household consumer products. There's no polite way of saying this. Your body is a landfill, a dumping ground for a mind-boggling array of toxic chemicals. Folks, we cannot just slide by any longer. We have to be intentional with what we're doing because it's causing problems. It's not hard. We need to read labels, know where that food's coming from, and just do your homework and do the reading. So xenoestrogens, remember I talked a little earlier about them being a synthetic estrogen mimicker, 1,000 times more powerful than human estrogen. Exposure to these chemicals can cause estrogen dominance. And this isn't just in females, it can happen in men as well. It leads to all kinds of health problems, including weight gain. These chemicals are sometimes called obesogens. There's such a big connection. So Dr. Bailey Hamilton, amazing lady, she was doing research that was foundational for everything that we're doing today. This was an interview that she did with Russ Mason back in 2002. But anyway, this is what he says about the interview. Dr. Bailey Hamilton has devised the concept of a chemical calorie. Take that in. An estimated value of the degree of damage caused by a chemical to the body's natural weight loss system. She posits that detoxification and other health-promoting activities can enable people to lose the excess weight, and no diet will really ever work without detoxification. That's pretty powerful. And this was actually a paper, alternative and complementary therapies. If you need me to run this down for you, just let me know. So number 11, clean up your body's environment. While your body's natural, okay, this is a key piece. I can't tell you how many times I have this conversation throughout the year. Okay, your body does detoxify naturally. That's a given, right? We have all of the systems in place, but how efficiently it does that depends on 5 key areas: your stress levels, your liver health, your gut health, the level of toxins that you've taken in or you're around, nutritional status, and how well your detoxification pathways are working. It is critical to address these 5 areas for meaningful results. And when I talk about detoxification pathways, there are basically 2 phases of detoxification. Some say 3, but for our intents and purposes, we'll say 2. But in order for those pathways to work and be open to the whole process, they need specific nutrients. And this is what I talk to people about all the time. You have to support your body in the process and give it some extra help. If you're struggling in a lot of these areas, sometimes food isn't enough, even if you eat 2 heads of broccoli a day. So it's important that we address these areas. And we will be providing support in all of these areas in the upcoming cleanse. So some strategies: eat organically. I know it's a little more expensive. If you can't eat all organically, they have what's called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And if you need that handout, I've got that as well. But so basically what you're doing is you're identifying the foods that are most toxic and staying away from them, or eating those organically, I guess. And then the Clean 15 would be the ones that if you can't eat organically, they're probably going to be okay. So, and we want to make sure we're avoiding the handling of store receipts. This really came full circle to me. I was feeding my kitchen utensil habit. I worked for Williams-Sonoma for several years, and I was constantly handling these store receipts, and I would go home and just scrub my hands. You may not know that they actually contain BPA on these receipts, so just be careful with those. Watch for this in aluminum cans, the liners. A lot of them will have BPA. One of the companies that does not use it is Eden Soy, which is actually a Michigan company. But anyway, so we want to get rid of the plastics and toxic household and personal care products. Personal care products are probably the one big offender that we can address. And I've got many options available, but if you read articles lately, it's all over the news about what they're finding in these products that are not good. We want to avoid pesticides, herbicides, and solvents, and consider the healthy cleanse. So number 12, probably the most important one here because it's foundational for everything. But we want to balance your gut. An unbalanced gut microbiome is a disaster waiting to happen, especially when it comes to weight loss. Dysbiosis, that means when your gut is out of balance. The good bacteria are not equal to the bad. The bad is kind of tipping the scales a bit. But that creates inflammation, which in and of itself can lead to extra weight gain and creating a situation that sets you up for a very slow metabolism. And that's where I was. I could not lose weight to save my soul, and I couldn't figure out why. And the cleanse, actually, the products in the cleanse were what brought me around. So anyway, significant weight loss will not occur successfully until the gut situation is corrected. Not all gut situations were as bad as I was, and aren't going to lead to all of this, but that is potentially what could happen. If your gut's in a rut, we need to clean it up. So strategies: cool the fire of inflammation. The inflammation underlies almost every chronic condition that we have, especially as we age. Start with the gut and appropriate supplements. Reduce free radicals and prevent oxidative stress and inflammation. And we get rid of those free radicals by taking in enough antioxidants in our food. The marker here, if you were going to test for your inflammation levels, would be CRP Another one would be homocysteine. So work to create a diverse bacterial environment in the gut. So you don't want to just take one particular strain of bacteria. You want to make sure that you're getting a diverse population in there. Some of the probiotics will proliferate. That means that they continue to grow. Others are just there, and then if you don't keep taking them, they're gone. So you have to kind of look at them and see. That's kind of where I come in. We want to drop the sugar. Nothing causes dysbiosis quicker than sugar. Truth. If you're suddenly becoming sensitive to multiple foods out of the blue, this needs to be addressed because it's quite possible that you're dealing with leaky gut and your body is reacting to every protein that leaks through your gut wall into the bloodstream, and that's leading to inflammation. And how that happens, just quickly, I just did a whole webinar on this, but so with leaky gut, your gut wall can become irritated from whatever, bad foods, sugar especially. But anyway, once it becomes leaky, the proteins from the food will leak into the bloodstream, and your body in its wisdom said, alert, alert, and it starts attacking those things. And during that attack, there's a whole bunch of collateral damage that happens, and all of a sudden you've got this inflammation going on. Inflammation is actually your body's response to something that it thinks it should take care of and mop up. So we have to make sure that we're addressing these things at the root so we don't end up in these situations. Work to improve the complete digestive process, mouth to anus. And again, get rid of, and I can't see that bottom line. I think you can read it. Okay. So improving your metabolism in general, this just kind of bringing this all together. You want to eat clean. Simple daily detox tools might be skin brushing, Epsom salts baths, tongue scraping. If you haven't tried that, that's wonderful. And of course, your exercise daily. Eating for better metabolism, summing this up, raw organic nuts are wonderful, low glycemic organic fruits, organic vegetables and leafy greens, lean and clean proteins, healthy fats, again, warming spices, sometimes call them hot, spicy, cayenne, turmeric. Turmeric is wonderful for inflammation. We actually have a product that is amazing. It's got the component that really makes it available for you to absorb. Legumes and water. So eating for better metabolism is important. This is from Haley Pomeroy. She wrote in Mind Body Green, feeding your liver, soothing your adrenals, maximizing pituitary and thyroid function, and tweaking your fat balance are all part of a balanced diet. And this is where we talk about being intentional, because we truly do eat our nutrition. And we have to look at our food as information. What information is that food providing our body? And what is our body going? How is our body going to take that and use it to build health instead of tearing it down like sugar and some of these other things? So word to the wise, just a little coaching piece here to make sure that you understand this isn't meant, this whole presentation isn't meant for you to go out and start incorporating all these suggestions at once. It would drive you crazy. So choose one or two maximum, and incorporate them into your life gradually. Revisit them, the suggestions throughout this. You'll have the recording and you have the workbook. Revisit them regularly for items that you can add in once you've accomplished the first one or two. I do offer all attendees to my workshops, webinars, events, and things, a complimentary discovery call to get you up and running. So if you're interested in pursuing something like that, it's complimentary. It's not going to cost you anything. Just drop discovery call in the chat and I'll make sure that we get that scheduled. So this is a little bit about the cleanse. Would you like to explore how great you can really feel? So this is the Revitalize, Refresh, and Renew Your Life Age-Defying Cleanse. And the cleanse itself is only 7 days, but we do some prep to ease you into it. And then we do some work on the back end to kind of address any food sensitivities that you're having, kind of take a look at what's going on. And we want to make sure that you're successful for the long term, so we make sure that that happens. So are you having trouble achieving your goal weight? No energy, memory slipping, tummy troubles, hormones, a hot mess? And there were a lot of hormones that we addressed today. Waking up every morning, feeling energized and ready to rock your day, tapping into happy, feel-good hormones for a joyful life, restoring your mind, body, and spirit, feeling like your amazing self again, taking on your day with exuberance and mental clarity, hitting the reset button for a happier, healthier, more fulfilled, and balanced world. So this program is packed with all kinds of tools that you can use. You get recipe guides, you get vegetarian and omnivore, depending on what you're into. You get shopping lists, and you get food journals, and you get a detox guide. All of your meals are included. It's just really a wonderful, solid program. So join me. If you're interested in something like this, you can just drop an "I'm in" in the chat box, and I'll get back with you. I'll be following up with you all anyway, because I've got to get you the recording here. So here's what one of my clients has to say. This is Mary Ann, and she did give her permission to use her information here. My main goal when starting the one-on-one coaching was to address my prediabetes and to gain control of my eating. I wanted to lose 20 pounds. Debbie's one-on-one coaching helped me to reach this goal by helping me stay accountable and motivated, and to help break the goals down into achievable steps. The biggest tangible changes I have noticed since beginning the program have been that I put those words in there, consistently exercising now. She was having a real hard time staying on track just because she wasn't physically able to. She lost 20 pounds. And her A1C dropped almost three points. And if you know anything about blood sugar, that's a monumental task. 3 points is a lot. The most significant overall change I have noticed has been that I can ride my bike again. She couldn't even ride the bike. She wasn't able to. I can get into so many more yoga poses again. It used to be hard for me to bend down and pick something up. Not any longer. I would describe Debbie's support as realistic, supportive, creative, and knowledgeable. I would recommend this program to people who want to get healthier. That's Mary Ann. So this is the free infused waters gift that you'll be getting. I'll be sending that to you here in a couple of days. And then, of course, these are the access links. I think what I'll do, instead of putting them in the chat and having you guys try and grab these, I think I'm going to put these in the newsletter. So I'll make sure that you get these as well in case you want to. This is Emily Rosen's YouTube video on the metabolic power of awareness, the weight loss study that I was speaking about, and then Dr. Andrew Weil's 4-7-8 breathing exercises. So easy, so simple, but so very effective. So thank you so very much for joining me tonight. So glad you were able to join us.